All right, guys, so here we are working on the B again. What I'm working on today, among other things, you can see I got the tires off of it. If you're a subscriber, you'll see the other videos that I'm working on. If you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button and you'll see the work I'm doing on the rear end, or excuse me, the rear wheels. And just got done doing some work on the tank. The project for right now is this carburetor. I timed it a few weeks ago, and I still can't get this thing running right now. It's been sitting for an unknown number of years. Apparently old boy had this, used to show it or whatever, passed away, and I don't know how long it was sitting, but they had an estate auction and some young guy bought it and flipped it. He just had it for about a week, and he's the one that I bought it off of. So it's hard to say how long it's been that this thing has really been maintained. I mean, if that old boy had it, maybe he was sick for a while, so it might have been sitting for years before he finally passed, or he passed and it took him years to clean out the barn. You never know with these old things. So anyhow, it ran real rough when I got it home. But I parked it right here, and now it's been sitting for a few months here while I'm tinkering with other stuff, and it's gotten to the point where it just won't run now. It'll pop one time, but anyhow, I think the carburetor needs some attention now, because I went ahead and timed it and it didn't seem like it helped. So we're going to take that carburetor off. We're going to take it apart, and I'm going to try not to order a rebuild kit for it. I'm going to see how bad it is before I go spending any money. I don't have to. If I was going to have to order a rebuild kit for it, you see this emboss right here, you're probably not going to be able to read it, but I'll tell you, it says DLTX10, and over here it says Shebler, made in USA. So if you guys are looking for a kit for your carburetor, if you're working on one, that's where you look to find your carburetor model. So anyhow, this is a DLTX10. I'm gonna try not to have to order parts. I think a basic kit, which is only a couple of gaskets and a needle and seat and stuff, is like 35 bucks. So we'll see how bad it is before I spend any money on it. So to get this thing off of here, I'm gonna disconnect the fuel line here. I already shut off the sediment bowl. I shut this valve off. It's going to bleed a little bit out of the line when I crack that open, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and drain it out here before I do anything, but it's still going to dribble a little bit here. So shut that off. I'm going to drain this. I'm going to crack that open. I'm going to disconnect these two bolts here. I'm going to disconnect the throttle linkage here, and I'm going to take out these two bolts on here, and hopefully the darn thing will just pop right out of there without having to fight it too much. So I'm going to go ahead and get it off of there, and then I'll update you once I got it on the bench. Alright, so we got our carburetor off the tractor, and nothing jumped out at me, but I didn't really expect anything would jump out at me, so wasn't no trouble really getting it off. The gaskets are kind of stuck on there. I'm going to be real careful and try not to tear them up, so I don't have to cut new ones if I don't have to. They look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, pull the bowl off. I'm just going to disassemble the whole damn thing. Take this off, should be a screen under there. Pull these screws out. Again, I'm going to take the gaskets off so I can get to, there's some plugs down here. I'm going to hope I don't damage them plugs, try to get them out. And then I'm going to use some drill bits that I just picked up. Some wire drill bits. I got these from drillsandcutters.com. That's where I get a lot of drill bits from. I got 53 and 40, and I got 2 of each. If you only needed 1 of each, it would be a better deal to get them somewhere else. I think it's Roberts Carburetor sells these. I think that's the name of the place. Anyhow, Google Roberts and carburetor and it should come up. I think they sell these and it would be cheaper that way. I went ahead and got 2 of each because I'm good for breaking shit. So by the time I paid for shipping and everything, it was a better deal to go to drillsandcutters.com if you're going to get more than 1 of each. So that's a real good website too. If you guys are, piddling out in the shop and you need taps or shit, all kind of stuff. I mean, they sell a bunch of stuff. Drillsandcutters.com. Anyhow, check them out. You'll be real happy. I think I know I am. Anyhow, I'm gonna get them plugs out. And I'm gonna try to run them drill bits down in there and clean them orifice or channel or groove, whatever you want to call it, out. And I'll show you when I get into that. All right, guys. So I got the carburetor tore apart, and here's all the little pieces sitting there cleaned up and ready to go back together. I got the big pieces sitting over here. They're kind of soaking in the stew for a little bit, but I wanted to just take a second and talk about gaskets. Now I'm going to be able to reuse one gasket. That's in really good shape yet, but the rest of them I went ahead and cut new ones. The old ones, they're not terrible. These here in particular are not terrible. That one there is a little bit, got a little bit abused. But anyhow, I cut those, and it didn't take hardly, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to cut all those gaskets, if that. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you guys are not cutting your own gaskets, you are spending way too much money and waiting way too long for gaskets to either come in the mail or go to the parts store and get them. You can pick this stuff up. This tan fiber stuff, this is a 32nd, this is 16th. These are just kind of general purpose. I mean, this will work for oil and gas. This is the same thing. This will work for oil and gas. It's just one's 32nd, one's 16th. You know, some gaskets require a little thinner stuff. This was that bowl gasket. I made it out of 32nd. These other ones, they were a little thicker, so I made them out of 16th. But anyhow, you pick that up for $7 or $8 a roll, and then get you a set of hollow punches. I got these at Family Farm and Home for like 14 or 15 bucks for that set. And I mean, it's real simple to just trace your part. You lay your part down on the gasket material and trace around it, or you know, if it's an odd shape or something, you kind of lay out your gasket material, oil up the part, and then lay that oily part on your gasket material and pick it straight back up, and you just cut around the oil line. You know, it's real easy to cut gaskets. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, if you guys ain't cutting your own gaskets, you're spending way too much money on gaskets. So I'm gonna get them other parts out. I did a little work on them. Actually, I did a lot of work on them, and they're just about ready to go back together. Just got them soaking. I went through all the orifices. I was able to get all the little plugs out, no problem. Yeah, they're just a bunch of little brass plugs, and run my drill bits through all the orifices. This thing actually was not in bad shape. So, you know, I think this jet, that bronze or brass, excuse me, this jet here was a little clogged. Some of them holes were. That's about the only thing I could see going on internally there, because all the passages in that carburetor body itself were pretty clean. So I took a wire brush and wire wheel on my drill, cleaned up all the mating surfaces real well. The ones that I could get a file on, you know, I kind of touched up the surfaces with a file, make sure they're all kind of flat and true, and knock off any gasket material. I did that on these faces as well as on the tractor. So like that face there, I hit that with a file. I went ahead and took that end attaches to the air cleaner, and that tube comes out of that. It's a crankcase vent. It just pulled right out, and the rubber pulled right off. So I went ahead and hit that carburetor mating surface also with a file, and just made sure there weren't any weird burrs or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get these back out, get them dried off, cleaned out, blown out, and put this all back together. I think this carburetor must have been apart at some point, sort of recently. The needle here has got a rubber tip, and it's really supple rubber yet, and you know, that seat down in there is good and clean. I think maybe somebody's been in this thing recently, because all them little plugs, they all came out without having to use heat or anything. So it came apart reasonably easy. So anyhow, I'm going to put it back together, stick it in a tractor, and we'll see if the darn thing will run any better. So I'll show you when I get it all put back together. Alright guys, you can see I got the carburetor back together. That carbon choke cleaner did a number on the paint on the, mostly on that one portion of the body. Some of the other parts it didn't hurt. So anyhow, I got it all put back together and I'm going to stick it on here. I'm going to bolt it on the manifold side first. I'm going to go ahead and thread that back up on the air cleaner. You can see that sticking down there. That's where that rubber mounts. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on first, up in there. Then I'm going to stick the carburetor up in there. Well, there went my bolt. Stick the carburetor up in there, bolt it on that side. Then I'm going to bolt it on that side. So I'll catch you up here after I get her bolted up. All right, well, we got her all mounted back up. And by rights, I mean, it looked good. So it ought to run. So I can't figure for the life of me why the hell it won't. I'm gonna have to dig into this thing a little deeper. I just don't know. I mean, I pulled the, the carburetor looked good in there. Everything looked okay to me. That one jet seemed like it might have been a little clogged up, but it's for sure cleared out now. I got my idle screw set to 1.5 turns out, and my load screw same way. And I can't get it to hit a lick. And I adjusted then the idle screw a little bit. I've been fooling with the choke. I've been fooling with the throttle. I mean, I've been rolling this thing over for, I don't know, 15 minutes. I can't get it to pop nothing. So I don't know what's going on with this thing. I had the spark plug out. This is a left-hand cylinder. And when the left-hand impulse comes around, you know, there's the timing mark there. Let's see. It's coming. There it is right there. I mean, there's the dot, and it just, let's see, where's the, oh hell, there's the dot. Where's the bolt at? There's the mark. Okay, there's the dot on the left-hand impulse. And when that comes up, well, shit, now it's not gonna do it. Anyhow, it's hitting right on it. I guess I didn't wind that mag back far enough. There we go. Let's try that now. There it was right there. So I don't know what's going on with this thing. Maybe the spark ain't hot enough. Maybe I'll stick a new set of spark plugs in there. See what happens. I'm done fooling with it for the day, and I'll mess with it later. But that essentially is how you take off the carburetor, clean it up, put it back together. It ain't rocket science, but it sure does help to have those drill bits. If your orifices in your carburetor are junked up, then these are what you need. And again, this is a number 40 and a number 53. They're 6-inch extended, they call them aircraft extension drill bits, wire drill bits. So again, these come from drillsandcutters.com. But anyhow, that's all I got, guys. If this video helped you at all, that's why I do these videos. If this video helped you at all, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos of this John Deere and other stuff that I'm working on, click that subscribe button and you'll see me working on. I'm gonna get that rubber mounted up next on this thing. So that's all I got. I'll catch you on the next one.